Darren Rovell from the Action Network, and we are talking Kentucky Derby, and we have the pleasure of having Rey Gutierrez, who will be aboard Barber Road. Ray, thanks for joining us. I've covered the business of sports for 21 years, and I was there for the Triple Crown of American Pharoah. It was one of the most magical events ever, and I am a big collector of Secretariat stuff. So I love the Triple Crown. I love horse racing. And thank you so much for joining us from Churchill Downs. We really appreciate it. I want to
Yeah,
start
absolutely.
out, I want to start out by kind of asking general jockey questions. So
Okay.
like the intensity, obviously this is your first Kentucky Derby. You've been in the Belmont Stakes, right? So like
Yeah.
how is the jockey room different? How is what happens on the track different, if it is at all, when it comes time for the big race versus every other race you do?
Well, this is one in a million. I feel like everybody knows that. Like a certain specific race, or like an allowance or a stake. It'll come back. And you'll ride that race, but you're never guaranteed another chance in the Kentucky Derby, let alone another race. And the guys, they're going to come out there asserting. They're going to be super aggressive, and they're going to come out for their position. I mean, this is the game 7. This is the game. I mean, to win, to show what you got. And you're on the brightest stage of horse racing. So it's your once in a lifetime opportunity to, if you're good, to prove it. And so
How much is the horse itself, right? I always wanted to know how much you have to know about a horse. You've ridden this horse, what, Arkansas Derby, Rebel Stakes, any before that? So twice in races?
yeah, I rode him 5 times, and we won
Five.
twice. Yeah, we won twice, 2 seconds and a third.
How much do you have to know about a particular horse? Is that a myth?
I mean, you just got to. I mean, once you familiarize yourself with the horse, it's easier. But a lot of us, we don't have the opportunity to familiarize ourselves with the horse. Sometimes you're on a horse and you don't even know who he is, and it's really the best of the best will do their due diligence. They'll study the horse, they'll watch previous races, and they'll do their homework per se, like if you be studying some film.
What
And
what 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 does film study consist of? How different are horses from one to the next?
every horse is different, just like you and I and Connor are different. Each horse has its unique traits: closer, sprinter, mid pack. Do I like to be outside? Do I like to be inside? Is my horse shy against other horses? Does he like to go against other horses? Does he get braver? And you look for those traits in their past performances. And some guys can pick up on things that other guys can't pick up of during that film. Is it cover 2? Is it cover 2 man? Things like that. For example, I mean, the best riders are able to dissect that and know what to do.
How many times does the game plan go against what the horse is? So, for example, you'd think that a trainer and an owner would know how the horse races, and that would be the game plan. How much say do you have going into, say, a Kentucky Derby when all the horses are being analyzed and there's a plan? Is it always to the strength of the horse?
Most of the time, you should play to the strength of the horse, but different factors come into play. Sometimes it's track bias. Churchill Downs is known as a speed track, especially on the big days. They'll make it they'll grade it down, they'll fix the surface to make it fast. That can benefit speed horses. At the same time, you might have other people telling their riders the same thing. Hey, it's playing speed. All of a sudden, you got 6 sprinters going out in a mile and a quarter race. And they're going at each other on the front end. Now, because of that, quote unquote bias that's playing, you're just staying in the back of the pack and you're taking advantage of that bias. So there's always a plan A, but you got to have plan B and C. Because in that minute, you're thinking in microseconds to change your position.
We are the Action Network. We cover betting. Obviously, with the Daily Racing Forum, there is so much data on horses, and bettors find comfort in that data, right? So
Absolutely.
I need to ask you, how many times what percentage of the time do you feel, and the favorite is obviously the favorite for a reason, but what percentage of the time do you feel like a race plays out exactly how the stats show?
Not very much, man. Maybe, if you're a jockey and you're winning at 20% of the time, you're actually an elite rider. If you can hit 20% and above, that means you're losing 80% of the time. So that 20% of the time, things went perfectly right, and not even that. Maybe it's 17% of the time if you're winning at 20%, because you might have a fast horse and they might not get out of the gates that fast. You might have a horse in the race that has never shown speed. Now they're showing a crazy amount of speed. And you're like, what the heck just happened? And you got to go to plan B real quick, so it's really just adjusting on the second. But I mean, if you're on the best horse and your program is literally telling you this is the best horse, like don't be a wise ass. You don't have to change it up. Just do what the horse is telling you he wants to do.
All right, here's your chance now. What percentage of a race, when a horse wins on average, is because of the jockey?
Maybe 2% out of 100. I think it's 98% of the horse, man. I mean, you need the horse, but that other 2%, I mean, yeah, you can make up that difference. Let's say Florent Giroux in the Arkansas Derby. I mean, he moved Cyberknife up when generally guys in that magnitude of race would not do that. He's been there, done that. He's won the Pegasus World Cup. I mean, he's already had that. And he moved at the half mile and made everybody chase. He made me chase, and my horse doesn't want to chase anybody. He just wants to close into something. So, and that was a winning move. Irad Ortiz made a winning move on a horse today on the grass. And it was like, he's usually a really patient rider. And he moved at like the 5/8 pole. And it was like, that's crazy, So I think the elite riders will always make a difference, and sometimes you're not as good riders. I mean, they might do something that is completely unexpected and it results, and you're trying to do the right thing per se, and you wouldn't have done that move, and they got you a win. So, I mean, it happens.
I have loved what you've done with Jockey Cam on your Twitter feed. It's really cool. I've always looked for that. I've always looked for that perspective, and I haven't seen it, and it's pretty cool to see it from your perspective. What do people need to know about what happens there on the track? How loud is it? Can you hear other jockeys, or is there time? I'm just throwing this out there so you can laugh at me. Is there time for anyone to talk trash? Can you hear anything? Like, put me onto that track. Is it just the stamping of the footsteps, or what? Give me what a layman or someone who will never get on a horse at the highest of intensity needs to know.
Right. Well, I think sometimes it's best we're not mic'd up, to be honest. But it's again, this is a locker room where we're all self-employed. We're all competing against each other, and we got to look at each other every day. So I might, be pretty upset with the guy. Guy might be pretty upset with me, but I got to come back and see him tomorrow. So I better go.
That's an amazing insight I never thought about, right? Like, so if you're playing someone, unless it's a playoff series or something like that, like if you're playing someone in the NBA, right? Like, right. You can trash talk them. You can get in a fight with them. And hopefully in a month and a half, when you see that guy again, you'll be okay. Right. You literally are going out with the same guys.
Every day. I mean, every day there's racing. We see each other, and, we might be upset with each other, but we better get over it, because you can't bring what's inside the room out on the track. Again, it's a dangerous sport. It's, life or death, whatever it could be. It's a matter when you're out there. I mean, especially on grass races, it's really tight at the highest levels of racing in New York and in Kentucky. You're going to have very tight grass racing, and guys, the best riders, they're going to slip to those spots, and I hate to say it, but I mean, they know there's 150,000 on the line, man, and 150,000, you're not getting at your normal 9 to 5. So they're going to get through there, and, they might say, hey, like, let me, or just, they might not say it, but they're going to scream it, hey, I'm here. And, if you don't got horse, I mean, the nice thing to do would be let them in there, but try not to move, man, because they're predicting that you're going to stay still. And if you don't stay still and you just move to the right or the left a centimeter, I mean, you're putting somebody else at risk. And that's, our job to protect each other. And, of course, you want to be the guy who's moving to those holes, but, always stay straight. And I mean, obviously some guys, we might get high tensions with each other, and something might happen in the previous race, and you're like, oh, you're there. You're not going anywhere. Can you today.
Trash talk during a race? Can you hear each other?
You can, but I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. You better be breathing, man. Like, you got to get all the wind that you can. So from that quarter pole home, I mean, you better be in shape if you're going to talk some ish.
You mentioned the money, which is my bailiwick. I love talking about money. I love to pocket watch. That's what I get paid for. So 186,000 is 10% of the 1.86 million for the Derby horse. But then you got literally with everything, you got taxes. Let's cut that in half, right? So we're at 90,000. You got the agent. What is agent 20%?
25.
Agent 25%. Then you got the valet, right?
Yep,
What's
that's another
that?
5.
That's
Another
another
5%.
30% off the top. Anyone else you got to pay out?
No.
Okay,
Just,
so you're basically at, after taxes, you're at like 50 grand, which is a pretty cool, I mean, what does that mean to you? 50 grand net from a race.
It means a lot. I mean, in one race, 50 grand in a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Come on, that's wild. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, I'll pay Uncle Sam happily, if I can if I can get 50 grand in 2 minutes, but it's also a privilege and an honor. You have to remember, you can't take it for granted. I mean, to get to this position, to even be here, I mean, you got to sacrifice a lot. And, it's just one of those things where once you're there, be grateful for it, because you never know if it's going to happen again,
You get weighed, so I'm not going to ask you if there's a pre-race meal. What is, maybe there is, but do you have a superstition? What are you going to do before the race?
I'm just doing my normal routine, and nothing's got to change. It's not a normal race, but it's not another race. You have to treat it as another race. I mean, it's business. You got to do it, and you don't get 100,000 fans plus, at every day of racing, but so you got to just try to block them out and just do your thing. Regardless, win or lose, I got to come out and ride someone else's horses in 30 more minutes. So it is what it is. But I'll just wake up. I'll have my hard boiled egg. I might have a piece of toast, some orange juice or a coffee, and that'll be it till after the races and dinner time. I mean, I don't like to eat much throughout the day, and I'll come into the room. I'll run for an hour. I'll go into the sauna after that. That's always been my routine. Jog, walk for an hour, do like 20 to 30 minutes in the sauna, and then we'll be prepared and listen to some music.
We talked about the money, but what would a win for Barber Road and you be tomorrow? What will that mean to your career?
It would mean everything to my career, because that's why I do it. I've always wanted to bring the Kentucky Derby, be in the Kentucky Derby, let alone win one. My family, I mean, we're from Victor, Farmington, New York. First generation immigrants. They both came from Panama, and they put me and my sister through college. My mom's a registered nurse, my dad's a horse trainer. And I mean, we weren't wealthy, but my parents damn right did everything they could to put us through and get an education. And fortunately, I'm here, and I just want to win the roses for my city. I mean, I love the city of Rochester, the town of Farmington. That'd be great, to get them some publicity. I mean, everyone talks about Buffalo, and everyone talks about Syracuse because of the orange. Come on, Rochester too. It's cool.
Well, damn you, Rey Gutierrez. I am now putting my money on Barber Road. I am immediately a fan of yours. Enjoyed your Twitter handle. Again, that jockey cam is really wild to see. Thanks for what you've done, even in your short time in horse racing. And thanks for joining us today.